Alrighty. So I am Vicki Earhart. I am Director of Key Initiatives for our Customer Account Management team. And of course, DSCSA is close to everyone's heart right now. I just want to go over some things that will be coming your way so that you can start training yourselves, training your employees, and at all of your sites, and make sure that we're getting updated properly. So first, just a reminder and kind of where Cardinal Health is overall in the grand scheme of DSCSA and the sterilization requirements. So the FDA exemption beyond the stabilization period was announced on October 9th. What that means is any eligible trading partner now has an exemption as follows. So manufacturers and repackagers have an exemption since until May 27, 25. Cardinal Health as a wholesaler distributor has one till August 27, 25. Dispensers that have 26 or fewer full-time and part-time equivalents have till November 27th, and then, or I should just say full-time equivalents, not part-time, sorry about that. And then small dispensers were issued the exemption November 27, 26 by the FDA in July 24. So just a reminder, what that means is what is an eligible trading partner. So Cardinal Health considers ourselves a eligible trading partner because we have consistently been working with all other trading partners to successfully complete and make documented efforts to complete data connections and send to data. So we are getting about 88% of all data coming in from our suppliers. We are passing on to you approximately 80% or higher at this point. So we do consider us an eligible trading partner according to the FDA's definition. Therefore, we would need to be compliant, everything working, everything perfect by August 27, 25. There are non-eligible suppliers that have not been sending us data, do not have connections set up, or have not been sending us data at all. We are down to about 10 to 11 of those. They are very small suppliers. We are still working with them to be compliant by this November so that we can continue to dispense their product. So we're continuing to work through them. We're hoping that all issues are resolved. If not, we would have to start quarantining their product if we don't have any data connections set up or are not receiving data. So this exemption does replace the which was the waiver exception that we did apply for with the FDA. And this will replace this. This makes us, of course, exempt until August 27. We are still continuing our efforts with our suppliers, like we said, to get that data to be 100% and to get it timely so that we can dispense the product to you timely without any quarantining come May 27th. Also, we are continuing to work through our efforts with all of you, our customers, and your third-party providers that might be sharing EPSIS data to make sure that we are sending 100% data down to you so that you can continue to dispense and resolving any exception errors. So with that, the returns becomes a very critical part of this as well. In order for us to be compliant as a wholesaler, we have to make sure that we have a sellable returns process into place, which means that we can only accept back returns that we sold to you. So we cannot accept back returns that maybe you bought from one of our competitors. Those products will get denied and we will not be able to accept those returns. Next page, Karen. So our whole goal is that by the time we hit, August for us, that there's no bumps in the road, that we've worked through all these defects, because we always, anytime we have a new system anywhere, there's always defects that we have to work through. And also we want to make sure we get you, our customers, ready to go. One big reminder is customers can run their own track and trace reports through the Order Express web portal. So whether that is a lot-based report that you may need now in order to be compliant, or a serialized data report, those are out there as well. through the Order Express reporting. It's not advanced reporting, so you could just see it, and Hillary will go over where that is here in a bit. But also, we do have the webinar that we did back in November as to how to use the serialized reports out on our resource center. The link will be provided here, as well as the track and trace reporting user guide that will be very helpful to your employees or any of you, so that you know how to use those portal reports. So just to reconfirm to what I said earlier, serialized data, we are getting about 88 to 90% in from our suppliers. We are shipping out about 75 to 80%. That number is going to continue to grow as we start commissioning items ourselves. We're able to do that in this exemption period, where if we have a product that has been sitting on the shelf that we did not get serialized data for, unless it's a case item, we are able to serialize that ourselves and send you the commissioning. So that number will continue to increase, but we do have gaps in data. That's why we're only at, 80%, 85%. So you could see one line on your invoice come in with all products that are serialized and other products not be serialized on that same order or invoice. So there also may still be delays and transmission of data. Our service level agreement that we are working on with our third-party provider is that we get all data to you within 30 minutes of the truck leaving, or at least 30 minutes, getting that data 30 minutes to your third-party provider. So if it's taking longer, we're still working through that. Sometimes it's taking an hour, sometimes it's taking an hour and a half. I can tell you we're doing a lot better than what we were even 2 months ago. So we're digging away at that. Sometimes it's we're even down to as close as 35 minutes. So it just all depends. Like I said, our IT team is working on that performance. Right now, though, you should be getting data within an hour, hour and a half, at least to your third-party administrator, and hopefully they're getting it down to your systems or processing them into their systems quickly, so that you can see that data in order to do any returns or exceptions that might be coming through. Our goal is we're continuing to work with our suppliers. We do want to get at 100% with them so that we can pass on that data. We know patient care is the utmost important thing of everything that we do and everything you do. So we want to make sure that our suppliers are sending 100% so that we can pass it on to you. Therefore, you can dispense the data or dispense the product to your patients. If you are using an EPSIS third-party provider, and if you are having issues or not seeing data that you expect, please reach out to your third-party provider first before reaching out to us. We work closely with all of the third-party providers, and we are partnering with them, and they all agree that you should go to them first, and then they will help you work out any issues that we might have. If you haven't signed up for an EPSIS third-party provider yet and you would like to, please reach out to your sales rep or account manager, and they will get you set up with they will do the proper paperwork and so forth for us to get you set up with that third-party provider. There's a question about recalls and returns. Recalls will be done the same way as they are today. That process does not change. And will there be a way to identify a product from a quarantine supplier? At the time, when we do end up quarantining, we will send out a report. It's actually the same report that you can get the GTINs on right now that will show if there is an exemption. It won't show you if it's a quarantine supplier. It will actually just show you if there's an exemption. There will be so I'm going to go back there a little bit. If we are quarantining a supplier, there'll be an availability alert on that item when you go to order it, kind of just like as there is with a manufacturer back order. A question on what EPSIS is. EPSIS is an electronic product code information system. So that is all the data, and that's what they are calling the data that's the serialized information that goes in between all trading partners. So some exceptions that we should talk about right now is you will not see dropship data in your information, we are working with manufacturers and our third-party provider to be able to show that to you. We do not have a date as to when that product, that data will be there, but we are continuing to work on that, and that will be there prior to any enforcement periods. Another important thing is you will not see any serialization data for your COVID vaccines. Your COVID vaccines have a 1-year FDA exemption until November 25, so you will not see that data. You will also be missing data for a lot of plasma items. A lot of the plasma items might not have the right scanning on it right now, and we're also running into some packaging issues with them. We are working through that with the supplier as well as with our specialty pharmaceutical ops department to make sure that we are just fixing those. So new returns and exception process, when we do go live with it, serial numbers will be required when processing a return in WebLink or Express, or if you call customer service. Serial numbers are case sensitive if you are keying in those numbers into our ordering platform. So if it's a capital T, you need to make sure it's a capital T. If it's a small e, make sure it's a small e. This is a GS1 standard. It's not a Cardinal Health thing. It's the way that serialization just actually works. You need to make sure that you are using the case sensitive alphanumeric. Also, to return a DSCSA items, customers will be required to enter that serial number. We will validate that we sold you the product. Like I stated earlier, if that product was not sold by us, you can't return it to us. You have to return it by, from wherever you purchased it under. Also, if, since as I stated, we're only at about an 80% serialization rate on the way out. So if you are trying to return product at the time of purchase and it was not serialized at the time of purchase, Cardinal Health will use that latest invoice that has a consumable quantity, which means you have not returned anything against that invoice yet, and it did not have serialized data. So if someone fat fingered something yesterday and you only wanted one amoxicillins but they accidentally typed in 11 and you need to send 10 back, but those 10 were not serialized. When you go to enter those, you still put the serialized information in the system. It'll then look and see if it was serialized or not and take it against what would be yesterday's invoice. You just have to make sure, you keep the one that you want. And then the Order Express mobile app will be the most efficient way to process a return. Unfortunately, we were not able to program a 2D scanner to parse information correctly when we were going into Order Express. That will eventually be in Vantis, but as of Vantis is Cardinal Health's new ordering system that we're rolling out here in January. But in the meantime, Order Express mobile app has been set up. It is the most efficient way to process a return. Even if you don't normally use the mobile app for anything else, I would suggest that you download it and you get that it's either on an Android or a Apple device. Even buy a cheap one, maybe for your like just a cheap one that has Wi-Fi capabilities for your store or for your site that your employees could use to do scanning if they are doing returns. It will make it easier than typing in that long digit GTIN or that long digit serial number. Just a reminder, anyone that is using the SureCost or Order Insight EDI 180, it will be temporarily discontinued when we do turn on this returns functionality. Customers who use the 180 will have to use Order Express, WebLink, or call into customer service to allow the return to happen. We will communicate in early 2025 when we do expect to roll out the functionality again of the 180. It's unfortunately just a temporary discontinuation we will have to do. Just a reminder again, scanning capabilities will only be available via the Order Express mobile app using an Android or iOS device or Cardinal Health's QS22 scanners that some of you may be leasing. Order Express won't have a 2D scanner capability. It's an enhancement that is coming later. But again, make sure you download that mobile app and it really will save time. And, and what I also tell people is still try to use Order Express or the mobile app for all of your returns instead of calling customer service, because you also will be on the phone with them longer. It'll take longer to do the return. And of course, things can get fat fingered that way too when you're verbally telling someone over the phone, a long serial number or GTIN, especially with that case sensitive things. Also, some 340B return facts that I know is going to cause some angst, but unfortunately, a product cannot be returned to a wholesaler distributor unless it has the original TITS information with it. It must match. So therefore, all 340B products that are sold to a 340B site has to be returned under the 340B account. You cannot return it under the GPO account. You can't return it under the WAC account. You can't return it under your contracting pharmacy's retail account. It will have to be returned on the 340B account. Hold on. If a serial number was shipped under a 340B account, like we said, must be returned there. The credit also will be given to the covered entity. You have to remember the covered entity is the entity that owns the product, not the contract pharmacy. So even though the contract pharmacy has it in their possession, they do not own that product. The product is owned by the covered entity. Therefore, the return must be done by the covered entity on the covered entity account. Also, I know this, also with this, the merchandise transferred through through the 340B credit replenishment program will not be eligible for return to Cardinal Health. So once that item is moved from the retail account to the 340B replenishment contract account or contract pharmacy account, you will no longer be able to return that product. Everything will still work the way it does, but unfortunately that product will not be able to be returned. All right, I'm going to just go through a couple questions here and see if we can do a couple of those. Can an updated list of DSCS items be sent? That is already out on the Order Express. It's under what's called the GTIN report. Hillary, you might want to show that when we walk through your part of the demo, but that is already out there. Can your current handheld devices be used to process returns as a device uses the mobile app? Be used to process returns as that device uses? Yes. Any current handheld device that currently uses the mobile app can continue to use the mobile app. You will not see that functionality there yet. That functionality on your mobile app will not be there until we actually go live. Question if you have to apply for a small dispenser or do you need to confirm? No, you do not need to apply for a small dispenser. The only thing is if you do get audited, you could just have to prove that you are a small dispenser. For the EDI 180s is for returns, not ordering through Pioneer, correct? So the EDI 180 for returns is usually done through Order Insight or SureCost. If you use either one of those two systems, those are the only two that I know use the EDI 180. Your orders coming in are not affected whatsoever. So the EDI 180 is just for returns. In order to return under a 340B account, is that a different login and what do you normally use? So I think that is if it is a contracting pharmacy, how would you do that return? The covered entity would have to do that return for you, if that is the question, because I know usually contracting pharmacies do not have access to their accounts in Order Express. So you would either have to call it in to Order Express or to customer service, or have the covered entity process your return via Order Express. On 340B account returns, if they purchase any item under WAC or GPO, they can only return it. No, so wherever you purchase that, whatever account you purchase that item, whether if you purchase that item under the WAC account, you can only return it on the WAC account. If you purchase under the GPO account, you can only return on the GPO account. If you purchase on the 340B account, only can return it under the 340B account. And with that, I know that was about 3 minutes of rapid fire questions there. I'll try to answer more of these online, and Nate is going to go through the mobile app demo here, as well as the Order Express portion as well. So with that, Nate, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Vicky. So, hey everyone, next we're going to be going into a demonstration of the new returns process. So, from the mobile app, like how you scan a product, find the barcode, and add to your credit request. And then we're going to jump into the Order Express website view so we can see actually getting the credit request submitted and generating the MRA. So, feel free to use the chat or Q&A for any questions. Karen, I think we're good to kick this one off. Hello. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating the new returns process from the Order Express mobile application, scanning a product, adding a product from the mobile application, and then we're going to go into the Order Express website and then finish creating our MRA. As you see, I'm in the mobile application and I've navigated to the Credit Request tab you can find under the More panel, where you'll see upon navigating into the Credit Request tab, I currently have no products within my credit request. There are two different ways to add products to your credit request. One being to scan your product, another being to search for your product within the magnifying glass up above. In this example, we're first going to start by scanning our product's barcodes, which is the most efficient way to add your product to your credit request. Once I click scan, you'll see that my camera has now rendered displaying, and I can now use my mobile device to then scan the different barcodes I have available to me. In doing so, you see with each of my successful scans, I get a green success indicator alerting the user that yes, your product has been added to the credit request. You'll also see the details being added below. And upon all my successful scans, I'm now navigated back into my credit request. You can see that I have the product serial numbers, SIN numbers, and I have the ability to update the unit of sale for each of my different products. In this example, we're going to be selecting an each for our first product. And upon successfully selecting the each value, you'll see that now my unit of sale has been updated for that product to display with an each below as well. And I get the blue success indicator. I'm going to be doing the same thing for these following two products as well. For our next one, we're going to be selecting a case. And then for our third product, we're going to be selecting an each for this value as well. Now that I've successfully scanned and added each of my products to our credit request, we're now going to move into adding a new product to our credit request via the search panel. I'm going to be using our product SIN number to search for it. And then I'm going to select go. And I can find the product's details. By going under the more detailed values, you'll see that I have the More Actions tab displayed below. And upon selecting the More Actions tab, I have the ability to add to the credit request. Now that I've added my next product to our credit request, you'll see that I have that product's unique identifiers displayed below my current product as well. I have the product's NDC, SIN number, and I have the ability to update the unit of sale quantity. I went ahead and selected the serial number for our previously scanned products, where you can see I'll be navigated inside an editable field for our serial numbers, which are anywhere between 0 to 20 characters, and our G10 values that contain anywhere from 8 to 14 numeric values. I'm going to go ahead and remove a product, as you see here, and I get a successful notification alerting the user that yes, my product has been removed from my credit request. I'm then going to go ahead and update the unit of sale quantity. And now I have successfully updated each of the values, and I'm ready to go ahead and jump into the website version of Order Express to complete my credit request and generate the MRA. A quick call out before we transition over is that my products are synced within real time, and so anything I do within the mobile application, I will not have readily available to me within the Order Express website. This now concludes our demonstration from the Order Express mobile application. We'll now be transitioning into the Order Express website view, where we'll be completing our credit request and then generating the MRA. From the page, I'm going to be adding another product to our credit request to also demonstrate the interim return process. Under our search bar, you have the ability to enter the product's NDC, UPC, or SIN number. In this example, we're going to be using the SIN number, and upon entering the SIN number, I can then select Find Product. When finding that product, you'll see that I have the product's unique identifiers displayed below, where I have a default value quantity of 1, and then I receive the product SIN number, NDC, and also a description of that product. From here, I can select Add to Credit Request, where I'll receive a confirmation modal letting me know that my items have been added to the credit request, and I have the ability to navigate into the credit request detail page. In this scenario, we're going to select OK and be navigated into the credit request detail page. So I am in the credit request page where you'll see that I have the previously scanned products from the mobile application entered into the credit request. You'll see that the G10 value and serial numbers have displayed. However, the G10 value is listed as recommended. If you have multiple products to be entered in your credit request and you do not have the G10 available to you, that will not create an error in our application. However, if you have multiple products to be adding to our credit request, the value is recommended as it does improve performance of the application. Now that I have all my products added to my credit request, I can now go about entering all the additional required information to get this MRA created and submitted successfully. For our first product, since I have the G10 and the serial number already entered, I'm now going to select Match to Invoice. In doing so, I now receive the product, the previously issued invoice, invoice date, purchase order, quantity, and previous return and cost as well. So we have successfully got a match to our invoice for our first product, and now we are going to go into our interim return. In the event that a product does not have a serialized number at the date of purchase, Cardinal will use the latest invoice number without serialized data to support the interim return. In this example, I'm going to be entering a serial number to then get our interim return processed, where you'll see that I'm adding the required serial number, and then I'm also going to be supplying the product's G10 value as well. By selecting Match to Invoice, I will then receive the latest invoice number without serialized data, so we can still support the interim return and have the product returned back to Cardinal as expected. You'll see below a non-serialized item also came populated with the invoice date, purchase order number, and the other values applicable as well. Now we are ready to select our return reasons for the product. You will see at the line level that we supply different return reasons for each of our different products. In the example where a product you received it damaged, you received an overstocked, whatever the reason could be, we also give you a line item comment that you could enter to provide us with additional details in the event that there is a more descriptive reason that you'd like to add for submitting the product. Now that we have matched all of our products to an invoice, selected our reasons, you will see that we also receive line item errors. In this example, we see that the quantity exceeds the invoice. The quantity exceeds the quantity available in the return, and I am then going to edit this quantity to ensure that we still get a one-for-one match, so we're returning the correct quantity for that specific invoice. Once updated, you will see that the error message is no longer displayed. However, if you receive an application error, you will also see additional text notating to please call our customer service team to support you with your return process, and we can help troubleshoot the issue. Now that I have selected all of my required fields, I am now ready to submit the return. Below your final product, you will see that you have a orange submit button, where upon selecting this button, you will see that the return is now being processed, and upon a successful return, you will be navigated to the newly created MRA. In this example, we're seeing that This item is not eligible for return as the invoice exceeds the age with the return policy. In this example, that user could contact customer service to continue to grab additional information to support their return. I'm now going to navigate to our Returns tab to find that newly created MRA, where you'll find all of the details entered for your specific product. You will also be able to click the plus icon to expand the product's GTIN and serial number to ensure that the information is matching from your submit your credit request detail page over into your newly created MRA. Within your MRA, you will also have the ability to print and sign your MRA to send the return back to Cardinal successfully. This concludes the demonstration. Awesome. So we're still working through some questions within the Q&A. Stephanie, I see one of your questions. Do you log into the mobile application with the same credentials as the website? Yes, that is correct. And we'll keep working through our Q&A. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Hillary.
Thank you, Nate. All right. So we are going to talk through exceptions processing and how that is going to look in the future. So let's go to the next slide. And really the key here is going to be that serial numbers are required. That is going to be paramount whether or not you are calling in or emailing customer service to report that your site received either an overage of product or a shortage of product. Depending on how you receive your serialized transaction data, again, that could be via your third-party data provider if you are using an EPCIS solution provider, or if not, via our web portal, which you would access either through your current e-commerce site. So if you're an Order Express user, or if you do not use one of our e-commerce solutions, then logging in directly to the web portal. Essentially, though, in either instance, you're going to need to identify the serial number or numbers that are in error. So in the case of an overage where, we've shipped you 13 bottles instead of 12, we're going to need to understand what is the serial number that you received that you should not have based on the data. That is going to need to be submitted, again, whether you're calling into customer service, emailing, whatever your normal process is. Same thing with a shortage. So in the case that you order 12 bottles, we ship you 10 of those. We will need to know, based on the product that you received, what two serial numbers in that example you were missing. That is obviously going to be a different process than what happens today. In terms of, SOPs and determining what will that look like in the future. This is where getting really familiar and comfortable with accessing your data and how you run those reports or how you access them via your third-party provider is going to be really important, so that processes are in place well in advance of us activating the returns. And then, of course, once we are into the full enforcement period, there are SOPs and all of those pieces, and that all of the pharmacy techs or anyone at your sites that are processing returns are up to speed on what that means, because that will be very important, and it will be required upon submission. So we were going to spend a few minutes here and talk through reporting for a few moments. So I am going to share my screen. All right, so today we are going to go through a refresher. So hopefully this is not new for the majority of the people on this webinar, but we're going to go through and look at reporting again. There is a webinar that was done that goes through both the lot-based and serialized in detail, but we're just going to point out a few features and talk through Order Express here for a few moments. Now, if you're wondering where you can go within Order Express to help access any of the user guides or perhaps the DSCSA Resource Center, all of that is accessible via Order Express. Whether you are a user of the retail platform, which I am in currently for this demo, or the acute platform, so if yours looks a little bit different, that's okay. They're located in the same spot. On the left-hand side, we are going to navigate over to where it says Help Guide. We're going to click on this. And these are going to be all of the help videos and documents within Order Express. But what we're most interested in for the purposes of this demo is scrolling all the way down on the left-hand side. And you will see the DSCSA header here with a lot of different links. The first one being the reporting user guide. Again, this covers the lot-based and serialized version of the reports. But you're also going to see a few newer items in here. Near the bottom, the DSCSA returns experience overview. So this is going to be a PowerPoint presentation that goes through both the mobile app as well as the screens within Order Express with how you're going to facilitate the return. So this is a really great document to go through. It is over 20 pages, but a lot of this is just, there's one slide for each piece. This is a great resource. And just under that is the DSCSA OE Returns Report Guide. This is a very quick 2-pager that summarizes those key steps that anyone in your sites may need to utilize when processing a return. So these two right here are going to be utilized a lot, but all of your information is located under this DSCSA header. Another piece in here that is going to be particularly useful from now until that late August date is going to be the link that says Cardinal Health Pharmaceutical Tracing. If we scroll on this and go all the way down to the DSCSA Resource Center and click here, you're going to see our redesigned and reorganized resource center for you to take a peek at. Again, you can access any of this information at any time. It is really well organized, talks through the new dates that we went over in the webinar, and then all of the webinars, user guides, frequently asked questions. A lot of information is located within this resource center. So although this doesn't specifically highlight the reporting, this is where it could be very helpful to spend some time and just familiarize yourself with this for all things. Again, reporting is included, but for all things DSCSA. But going back to reporting specifically. So if we scroll all the way up at the header, we're going to see a reports link here. Again, regardless if you're in the acute or the retail platform. And on that left-hand side toolbar, you're going to see two different reports. One is that track and trace report. That is the existing lot-based report. And right under where we're going to go is the track and trace serialized products report. Again, I'm hoping that this is not new, but we can't emphasize enough to come in here often to play around with all of the features and functionality, the search criteria, and really get to know and understand how do you access your data. Since you may need it for returns and exceptions processing to the points that we spoke to earlier, this is going to be a great resource that's available to anyone, whether or not you utilize Order Express, but you're able to get into Looker here. So what you're going to see when you enter the portal is a lot of different search criteria. This is expanded from what we have via the lot-based, and it includes some new search features such as serial number, purchase order number. And so what's going to default here is all of the invoices for the ship to that you selected within Order Express for the past 7 days. All of these are configurable. So maybe you're looking for an invoice that occurred in early November, for example. You can just simply click on this. You can change and say in the month of November. You could say in the last 15 days. All of these different time elements. Anytime that you update one of the criteria here, you're going to see this blue update button turn blue, And you need to click on it to actually execute any of the changes that you have made. So we'll go ahead and select that. And we expect to see some additional invoices down here. To access any of these invoices, if you're interested in the first one, for example, you would just click on that, click where it says invoice number, and then we will see, again, this is going to look very similar to the lot-based if you're familiar with pulling that reporting. And we're going to see first the header information here. So we have sellers, buyers sold to, and buyers shipped to addresses. In the middle, you're going to see your invoice and account information. And then finally, down here at the bottom is going to be that serialized detail report. Something you may notice down here at the bottom if you scroll is that you don't see serial number in this specific view. This is the aggregated view. This is simply to help roll everything up to that item level. And if you want to access the specific serial numbers, you have two different ways to do that. One, over here to the far right where you see tote ID, you can click on this and drill in here, and it will show you all of the serial numbers specific to that tote. This one not being a great example in that this shipment is all within one tote, but we'll say that if all of these had different tote numbers, if you drill into one, you're just going to see the serial numbers for that specific tote. If you would like to see all of the serial numbers for this specific invoice, you're going to scroll back to the left, drill down on invoice number by clicking on it, and then you're going to click on by serial number. And then this will generate all of the serial numbers for this shipment. From here, we can easily download. Go to Excel. There are some advanced data options here. We always want to click on this middle all results so that if you did have a very large invoice, for example, that you're able to download all that information and not get partial results. We'll go ahead and download it and then take a look at this and identify where the serial numbers are within this report. Okay, we will space this out here. And you're going to see all that same information that we did from the previous screen at the bottom. And now you will see serial number populate for each one of those units that were shipped. Okay. To navigate back, you can simply just hit the back button. And really, this is going to be useful if you're looking for a specific invoice. One of the other features that you can do from here, if you are a contracting pharmacy in the 340B space and you want to see anything that's been shipped to you, you can click on this DEA number radio button. Again, you need to execute that change. And then what you'll notice is that the DEA number is going to populate within this view. And if you have multiple accounts that fit that invoice date range, you're going to see it listed by ship to account number, DEA number, and ship to account name. That way, if you were shipped something on one of your 340B accounts, you could still drill into that invoice and obtain those serial numbers. Again, this is really specific that if you're looking for a particular invoice. If you're looking for perhaps a use case of I want to see if this serial number has ever been shipped to me, or I want to see for this particular NDC, every serial number that I've been shipped for the month of October, for example, you're going to click on this View DSCSA Transaction Line Details button. The same search criteria will appear at the top, so this should look very familiar. And you're going to return the same type of results on the bottom. Again, that invoice date range is defaulted to the last 7 days. Of course, that can be updated to what you need. But now the bottom is going to look a little bit different. Now, this is going to show you all items that have been shipped to you in the past 7 days, regardless of invoice. So this is going to show you multiple invoices worth of information all within one view. Again, you can use any of these filters if you are looking for a particular NDC number. If you want to look at a lot number, you want to see something specific to a PO, you can utilize any of this search criteria. If this is exactly what you wanted to see, and you wanted every serial number shipped to you in the past 7 days, then the best way to view this information is by clicking these button here for tile actions. You're going to go to download data. Same thing, download to Excel. We're going to click on all results. And then you will see that this will also look very familiar to what we just downloaded. We just expect this to have additional information included, since again, this is not specific to just one invoice, but rather all your invoices for the past 7 days. Same information. As we scroll over, we will see serial number populate, and that is in column S here. So you would be able to get that information and then utilize this in an Excel-like format. I hope that this refresher has been helpful. There is absolutely nothing that could be broken in here. It is advised, again, to go in here often and spend time with the different filters and criteria, with downloading your data and really understanding how can you utilize this as a tool to help those pieces that are going to become requirements from an exceptions and returns processing standpoint. Thank you. And I think I will turn it back over. Vicki, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, the only thing I have, so we were typing as quick as possible, so hopefully all of our answers made sense. I know I'm not the best typer or quick typer. One question though was that they understand that currently the credit-based replenishment program through Cardinal Health will no longer work. No, that is not true. It will continue to work. The credit-based replenishment program through Cardinal for 340B will work. So that process still works. There's a caveat. You can no longer return an item once it has been moved over to the contracting pharmacy through the credit-based replenishment program. So everything works. I heard there's very few items that actually get returned through that process. The reason why we cannot allow that is we do not know which of the serialized items that you are moving over from your retail pharmacy to the contracting pharmacy's account. So since we no longer have ownership and can touch the item, it kind of puts us out of compliance if we could just say, yeah, we could then take it back when we can't. We don't know which product that you moved. So, but everything else works, and you should be able to use that, the 340B credit-based replenishment program. If a product does come in damaged, like a liquid damage, and you cannot read a serial number or a barcode, you'll just have to call customer service and let them know that, or use that, or in Order Express, use that damaged code. If you say receive damaged, and then it will bypass allowing to use the serial number. But that, I think you have to record those damages pretty quickly. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody again. Again, you are the first customers to find out that we are pushing the go live from this weekend. We will get a date out there by tomorrow as to what the new date will be. The good news is you now have a longer period to train your staff. We will get this webinar out here next week, out onto the resource center. We'll send that also in the communication of where to go to. The great news is on the resource center, we do have a PowerPoint that walks through the process of how to do a return. Also talks about overages and shortages. Don't forget there's the old webinar besides this one that Hillary just went through of how to use reporting. So lots of good stuff out there to use in the Resource Center, and look for that comms that will be an alert on Order Express and web link tomorrow. And also we will provide it in a tote stuffer that we are moving the returns go live. So sorry for the inconvenience of having to move it, but we did hear you all. We know you need more time to train your customers or train your employees. And then, you know, as we get closer, we may offer another webinar too, another Q&A. If you have any questions in the meantime before go live of the returns functionality, please reach out to DSCSA info@cardinalhealth.com, and we will definitely get back to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, still start getting ready for DSCSA. Start looking at your data. Please ask us questions now. Be on the forefront of this. You don't want to be the last person looking at it with probably a bunch of other customers, because then we won't have time to get, you know, your questions answered. So start looking at this now. It gives us time to fix things, gives us time to provide your feedback into what we roll out, and it's just very helpful. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday that's coming up here shortly, and we'll let you know when we roll this out. Thanks, everyone.